Hello again and welcome back to Plan V Works. My name is Vanessa. Today we're going to create a very cute hot air balloon card that you can use for many occasions, and it will be fast and simple as well. So let's begin. First up, we're going to need the baby balloon stamp set from Altenew. This is a layering stamp set, so you can use all kinds of colors of dye inks to create this, or you can also use your alcohol markers to color it. There's a lot of really cute sentiments that come with it, so I'm sure you're going to find something to use, whether it's to congratulate someone for a baby or just for doing a job well done. And you can see that all right here. We also have our 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base, and we will be using Tim Holtz Distress Oxide Victorian Velvet. I love this, and you're going to see in action how easy it is to use. We're also going to use our StazOn black ink for this project, and you can use either a foam blender or a brush blender to create that cloud background later on that we're going to show you how. And we're going to use our adhesives, our scissors, and for this particular project we're going to use our Ohuhu markers. Now these are the cheaper version that you can get instead of Copic, and they've been great so far. I'm using the RG120 red gray, E050 lipstick natural, E380 ash rose, and just a color blender, and so far I've enjoyed using them, especially for creating this card. Now let's begin. I've gone ahead and stamped our balloon image right here on a scrap piece of paper, and I will be using my first Ohuhu marker here. This is the E050 Lipstick Natural. Now, I'm using this on how I feel it has worked well for me, but if you watch the videos, you will find that there are many ways that you can use these markers. Now, usually you would use these in 2 shades, and that is in a darker and a lighter shade. But for me, I will be using just the 1 shade for this particular project. And what you can see is I am running the color a second time to the area that I've already colored, just to create a darker shade. But you can also do that by using a darker shade and a lighter shade together and blending them well. Now, as you have seen, I'm using a swish motion to do this and not just rubbing it back and forth. And this way you preserve the tip or the nibs of your brush markers, and you don't dull them out. So you can see, like, I just go from left to right slowly over and over instead of running them back and forth really fast. So you do this ever so slowly, and as much as possible I avoid touching the black ink because it's an alcohol marker. It has a tendency to smudge. Now, as you can see, it is creating this lovely color, and it seems like it's shining a little bit because of the shading. And you're going to see this as we continue coloring this piece. And I'm still doing that same swish motion from up and down and just running it out like from where I've already colored it. And I love these colors so far. I've seen these colors in Scandinavian artwork, and I am loving them. It's neutral with a hint of blush and pinks and all of that natural colors. And this is not traditional colors that you would think of when you say hot air balloon. You're looking at bright colors and rainbows and reds, but for this one I feel like I wanted to go away from that traditional color setting and color palette, if you would. I am using these colors because I feel like they're so unique and pleasing to the eyes, and I personally love them. Now I'm going ahead and using the red gray RG120, and using these markers you will see a lot of difference when you compare them with Copics. For one, the nib here is maybe a little firmer than the Copics. The Copics are a lot softer, and some people find that better to use, and some people prefer the firmer brush tips. Now these are cool because they come in either broad tips or brush tips, and some of them come with a combination of a brush tip and a fine tip. So whichever works for you, you can find that and They come in a lot of colorful sets. They have pastels, they have nude sets, and they have their traditional complete color sets, and they're very inexpensive. Now here we are, almost done with our coloring. As I said, you can use your dye inks to stamp these out, as these are layering stamps, and they're also great. I tried them earlier, but I feel like for this particular project, I wanted to try using my alcohol markers just so I can blend in some of the colors, because when you use your stamp sets or your stamp pads, usually they would come in flat. And this one gives you a little bit more leverage in creating shadowy areas and creating a bit of shine when you look at it. Because we're creating these darker portions and lighter portions, when you look at it the first time, it seems that it has a bit of a shine to it, but there isn't actually. And this is what's great about coloring it in instead of just stamping it, because you can play around with the colors and you can use your own styles to create all of this really, really cool effect. And once again, this may not be the best way to use it, but this is how I use it, and it has worked so well for me. And you can always experiment on how to use these alcohol markers. Now, you can buy these online or on art stores. It all depends on where you can find them, but any alcohol marker should do well. So here we are with our finished balloon image. And isn't that just lovely? I love how it turned out, like it has its own little shine to it. Now, after running that into my die cutting machine, I get this perfect little balloon image. Obviously, you can fuzzy cut this. This is not a very complicated cut, so you can do that as well. So next up, let's create our background here. So as I said, I'm going to be using the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide in Victorian Velvet for their background, and my blending brush tool instead of the foam tool. Now the thing with this is you start very slow and very gently, because these colors are very rich and these ink pads are full of ink. So go ever so lightly, because as you can see from this portion right here, I go a little heavy on the brush and it creates this darker pink instantly. So I just go over that to create like shading and puffy clouds. But the key in using these Distress Oxide inks is to use them very, very slowly and blending them in as gently as you can. So you get this even soft texture on your background here, as you can see. And again, normally people would use the bright blue or light blue skies to match the color of their bright balloons. But I love that since I am creating this neutral color palette on my hot air balloon, I can create a sunset theme for my sky, and I love how it turned out. Look at these puffy, cottony, soft clouds. I just absolutely love it. And I'm obsessed with these Distress Oxide inks. I love them. Now, once we have done that, it's time to create our sentiment. Now I have a scrap piece of paper here, and I will take out the banner stamp from the set, and I will stamp that in first. Now there are a lot of sentiments that you can use for these. You don't even need to use the banner that comes with it if it's too long, but I find that the word congratulations fits in there perfectly, and that's where we're going to use. That way I can send this card out to someone who did a job well done on something. And I can also use this to congratulate someone on having a baby or perhaps giving birth. And I love that this die set or this stamp set has both of those options that you can send out to your friends. And I'm just running that to my die cut machine and get this little cute banner. And once again, like I said, you don't need the coordinating dies for this set because it is an easy fuzzy cut, but it just makes the work easier for me, especially for doing demonstrations like this. Now I'm making sure that my balloon image here is right on the center, and we will be using our foam adhesives here just to create a little bit of dimension, because the colors in the background are on the same palette as our hot air balloon. I wanted to stand out a little bit more and create a shadow effect as you would see it in the sky. And a foam tape always creates that great dimension when creating your cards. And it simply just sets your focal image apart from the background, and that's always a good thing. Now I'm just making sure that my hot air balloon is right up to the center. And now it has its own dimension that sets it apart from the background. And for our sentiment here, I won't be using foam tape. Instead, I'm just going to lay it flat on top of our hot air balloon to make sure that it just complements that image. And just like that, we have our very, very cute hot air balloon. But I think that some of the areas may seem a little empty, so I'm just gonna grab my fine tip marker and here and create some dots and circles on the side. This is unnecessary, but you can use your embellishments to add in more interest to your card. Some people think that empty areas in a card make it feel a little boring or, lacking, but for me, it depends on your design, and I like that it's simple this way and it draws your attention to the right at the center, which is the hot air balloon, and that softness of the clouds just complements that. And look how cute it turned out. I absolutely love it. So I hope you guys got inspired by watching this video and try to create your very own as well. You can draw this balloon and you can use different kinds of alcohol markers if you wish. But if you feel that you got inspired by watching this video and you had fun, please consider subscribing to Plan V Works for more affordable crafting, resourceful hacks, and easy techniques. We'll see you again next time. Have a great day, everyone.